Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of our tutorial and my most absolutely favorite topic, character building. There's lots of stuff to cover here today, so let's get going. You've all seen it, you've all wondered about it, and you've understood absolutely nothing about it. That, my friends, is the panel selection screen where you apparently pick some odd random skills and somehow your character is improved by some unknown in-game calculation you don't have a clue about. Well, worry not folks, I'll guide you through every step of the way towards understanding this complex yet fascinating character building system. First of all, although the panels themselves are pretty easy to identify, what people fail to spot are those little icons with numbers next to them surrounding the panels. These 10 numbers are your in-game stats, which are divided into two alternating types: ability stats and elemental stats. The elemental stats are easy. We've seen them before in the magic tutorial. These icons represent the amount of damage your characters do with a spell of that element. A high fire element means a higher damage from fire spells and so forth. The ability stats, however, are a bit harder because each of them have different and very important aspects within the game. Starting with the top icon in the shape of an arm, this is strength. Strength is used to calculate HP damage and determines damage of strength-based weapons. The sword-shaped icon is the character's skill, which determines a lot of things, such as LP damage, speed, and accuracy. But more importantly, it determines the damage of skill-based weapons. Spirit, or the heart-shaped icon, is a relatively useless stat that increases your resistance to mental status effects, but also increases the HP recovery of curative spells when it is used on that particular character. Magic, or the staff-shaped icon, increases the magic damage, while the fist, or endurance, is also a relatively useless stat that increases your resistance to status effects. Some folks make the mistake of assuming that endurance decreases the damage on their characters, but nothing could be further from the truth. Now that we figured that out, how do the panels we get determine our stat? Well, all the panels have a base value, which is then used as one of the multipliers to calculate our stats. Simply put, depending on what kind of panels you place on the panel selection screen, the increase in the character's ability and elemental stat will vary with different types of panels. Some have high ability multipliers, while others have high elemental multipliers, which are good for physical and magical characters respectively. Now here is where it gets interesting. You see, there's a good reason why the stats are positioned around the panels that way, and that is, each particular stat is affected by the three nearest panels to its position. For example, the strength stat position here is affected by the top left, top right, and middle panel, whereas the skill stat right here is calculated with the top right, middle, and middle right panels. Note that since these distances are not perfectly equal, even the multiplier you get for these stats are different. You can see that the panels for strength growth is roughly equidistant from each other, so they give an equal 60% growth for your strength. The skill panels, however, is much closer to the middle right panel than to the top right panel. Hence, the multiplier from the middle right panel is slightly higher. The setting is even more extreme for the bottom ability stats, where the panels are almost directly at the stat. For those of you with active imaginations, you can see that the pattern is the vertical opposite of the elemental stat, since they are in the spaces between the ability stat. Managing this panel is the key to building a character to the best of their abilities. But wait, that's not all. Not every character is made to be a tank, and not every character is made to be a mage. How do we know these things, you ask? Well, let's head to the status menu and look at our stats. Here we see the level of our stats, which is the current value of each particular stat at the moment, but we also see the making of each stat. Making is yet another multiplier, and is perhaps the most important one, because it determines how much a character can increase their stats. Some have high strength and skill makings, which make them better at physical damage, while others have great elemental makings, which make them great mages. As you can see, the ability and elemental stats placements overlap, and for a good reason. Panels that give great ability growth often give poor elemental growth and vice versa. This limitation means that mages often have poor constitution, meaning they sacrifice all their ability stats. And their physical damage, their defense, their speed, and accuracy are traded in for magical damage. In most cases, it is better to build either purely physical or magical characters, but there are often special circumstances where the best of both worlds could be achieved. But wait, there's more. It's not just a simple matter of placing random panels and hope for better stats. There's also comboing, which has to do with placing the panels in a pattern. Combos give a sizable bonus to your characters, depending on the type of panels you use. Basically, if you place a panel on the same type in one of 3 patterns, you get a bonus to a particular stat. The 3 types of patterns are joint combos, with 2 adjacent panels not involving the middle panel, triangle combos, which places the panels in a triangle, and a line combo, which places the panels in a line. Each of these combos give a bigger bonus down the line. What's more, if the panels are of the same level, you get an even higher level bonus. Be warned though, that you can only have 1 panel of each skill of each level, meaning you can only have the same level bonuses if the panels were of different skills. Building a physical character is extremely easy. There are 2 types of physical characters, which are strength and skill characters. Both of them depend on a different base stat to deal damage. The build will aim to maximize either strength or skill depending on what type of character you want to build. Let's go over the basics. First, we need to know what type of panels give the highest ability growth. Well, melee panels give very high ability growth and they appear frequently. Punches and kicks give a slightly higher ability growth than throws, and the axe gives a higher ability growth than any of the other weapons. However, keep an eye out for the panel Iron Body. This is a somewhat rare panel that gives the highest ability growth in the game. But what about panel combos? Well, melee panels can help you too. A combo using melee panels give a bonus to strength, so although they are not very useful outside combat, they are great for turning characters into beat sticks. As for skill characters, there are also key panels. Where they are not really great with stat or ability growth, they do give you a bonus to skill when you place them in combos. Long story short, here's what your character should ultimately look like. A strength character needs to keep his strength up, so the high level melee panels on his top left and right does the job. Plus they form a same level joint combo which boosts up the strength a fair bit. Then form a line combo across the mid area. This gives a gigantic boost to strength. Finally, place a weapon on the bottom right and use the bottom left to dump panels you don't need. Since you don't always get the panels you want, having a dump panel makes it a lot easier. Besides, no need to boost up magic on a physical character, right? With this setup using level 4 and level 3 panels, you get a total of 15 bonus strength and endurance on top of your original stats. As for skill character, have them place a melee joint combo of top right and mid right. Then place a line of keys from top left to bottom right. My recommendation is Diffuse, Locksmith, and Sharp Eye, seeing how useful those skills are on the map. Then place the weapon in the mid left and use the bottom left as a dump stat. With this setup at level 4, you get a plus 10 bonus to skill and a plus 6 to strength and endurance. This is a typical thief setup which is great for both in and out of battle. Ultimately, if you happen across an iron body panel, the build changes slightly. A thief build is a matter of placing a panel at the mid right where the skill boost is increased. The strength character is a bit more complex since it involves replacement of melee joint combo. Although the stats not bit different, you get an option of placing a shield panel on your character, which increases your tanking abilities by a lot added with the iron body panel. Simply place the iron body panel at the top right, and always the top right. The panel gives a boost to skill. And then you can either place a weapon, preferably an axe, with the best growth, at the top left or mid right. After that, place the line as normal and put the shield in the corresponding spot.